Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I did this beautiful spring inspired bridal makeup look and I absolutely loved the way it turned out. This is a beautiful makeup that you can wear even on winter weddings and summer weddings and for any weddings in general because the colors are so soothing. And so without a further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So I've already applied moisturizer on my bride or my model prior to my foundation application. For my foundation, I'm going with my Inglot Cosmetics foundation in shade 71. This foundation claims to be HD foundation and it is Inglot's one of their HD foundation collections and is one of my favorite because I have used this foundation on almost all my brides and it works so well with almost every skin, whether you're oily, dry or combination. And what I like about it the most, it's buildable, so you can go from medium to full coverage. At the same time, it's HD, so it photographs really well and it looks amazing, flawless in person. And you also do not have to apply a lot of layers, meaning you don't have to really do a lot of color correcting or like put a lot of concealer where it's not needed. So it does a really nice job. It's a little thick in consistency, but honestly it does not look cakey at all. For the concealer today, I've applied two concealers together. First one I've applied was Creamy Concealer by NARS Cosmetics in shade Custard. And later I have gone adding a little bit of that LA Girl Pro Concealer in shade Vanilla. And I've used my damp beauty blender to blend that into her skin. For the beauty blender though, I have used the Cool Beauty Blender, which you can get from Shoppers Drug Mart. When working under eyes, I tend to like working with beauty blenders because I find that it takes off any excess product and only deposits the required amount. And usually when dealing with under eyes, you don't want to make it look too cakey because under eyes tends to have bags and lines, and if you put too much product over the day or throughout the day, it's just gonna move around a lot more. So you just want to make sure you don't put too much, but at the same time you have a good coverage concealer to conceal all that. Now using the LA Girl Pro Concealer and my beauty blender, I've also applied that concealer on the higher points of her face. Now it's time to bake her under eyes. For that I'm using my Laura Mercier translucent powder. And the reason why I'm baking under her eyes and around her laugh line is because I do not want those areas to move around a lot and create laugh lines or under eye lines. For the next step, as I'm dusting off that excess powder sitting on her face, I'm also applying a little bit of that AMC powder by Inglot Cosmetics. I believe that it is a number 505, but I'm not too sure, so I will list down all the products down below on the description box for you guys to have a look. Now for bronzer, I'm using my Benefit Cosmetics bronzer in Hoola. I'm not only using the bronzer to bring that sun-kissed look to her face, but also to give it a dimension around her face. Now for contour, I'm using my Maybelline Master Contour palette, and I'm just slightly going over the bronze areas. And next I'm going to contour her nose, and I'm creating that line around her nose. So once I've created that line, it's time to blend it out. So I'm going to first try to blend it out with my brush, after which I'm going to use a beauty blender to soften those harsh lines. And here I'm just softening up those lines so it's not that visible. Next for my blush, I'm going to be using Modern Mandarin by MAC Cosmetics. And I'm using a stipple brush to stipple that color into her cheeks so that it looks more infused and not a block of color. More like a blush. Now I'm going to set all that powder using my MAC Makeup Setting Spray. After which I'm going to move on to my highlighter. For that I'm using my Anastasia Beverly Hills Nicole Guerrero highlighter. The first one I've used is called Kitty Cat. This is actually a beautiful pinkish highlighter that gives that glow and additional to that blush. And I'm just going to be using it on the cheeks only because it has that pink tint to it. Moving on to my next highlight color, it's called Forever Lit from the same palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. I'm going to be using that on the bridge of the nose, on the higher points of her cheeks, and a little bit on the forehead, cupid's bow, and chin. This is more of a silvery tone color. The reason why I didn't use the pink highlighter on her nose and the rest of her face because she is very light skinned, so anything you put on her face is definitely going to show. So even the pink highlighter would have looked awkwardly pink on her nose and she will look more like a cat. And so that's the reason why I didn't put that. And I wanted her to look more like glowy, beautiful bride. So I went with a beautiful silver tone on the bridge and on the higher points of her cheeks and cupid's bow and the chin and a little bit on the forehead. And on top of her blush, on top of her blush, I went with a little bit of that pink tone highlighter. And using my beauty blender, I'm going to blend this highlighter all over her face so it looks more soothing and natural. Moving on to her eyebrows, for that I'm using Precisely Brow by Benefit Cosmetics in number 04. She does have naturally dark brown hair, so I'm going with that. And I always like to leave the middle section a little empty, and I like to brush that color into the hair so it looks more like a natural look, and yet you have that dramatic eyebrows. And now once the brows are done, it's time to move on to the eyelid. For that, I'm going to use my Soft Ochre by MAC Paint Pot. And using a stippling brush, I'm applying that all over her lid. And before I move on to my eyeshadows, I'm just fixing up some little bit of gaps that I've just noticed. Moving on to my eyeshadow, the first one I'm using is called Coral, which is a beautiful corally shade. And I'm applying that all over her crease. And I'm going to slowly darken up the crease using Free to Be, which is a beautiful pinky shade. And I'm just using the same color and blending it out more. And as I'm blending it out, I'm also stroking that color a little bit on the outer corner, so the eyes looks more elongated and longer. The next shade that I'm going to be using, it's called Gleam by MAC Cosmetics again. And before I applied this eyeshadow on her lid, I actually sprayed my brush a little bit with Fix Plus, so it gets more pigmented. And that's the color. And I'm just trying to make her lid pop more. And I'm also going to be using that color on her inner corners. And under her brow bones, I'm going to be using the color called Nylon from MAC Cosmetics. And I'm not changing my brushes a lot because they're all very light soothing color. And I don't mind that color intertwining in between anyways, because I do want that glittery look. Or sorry, the shimmery look. For her under eyes, I'm using Free to Be, which is again the same pink shade that I've used on her crease. For my mascara, I'm using my Revlon mascara. Moving on to my eyeliner, for that I'm using my Inglot Gel Eyeliner in number 77. After which I'm going to pop my Ardell lashes on. These are called the Demi Wispies. And they look very, very natural, and it's actually one of my favorite lashes for all my clients. To make her eyelid pop a little bit more, I have used my Inglot Aqua Sticks in number 17, which is actually a beautiful pinky tone. And I've just blended it out a little bit more so the eyelids pops a little bit more. For my lips, I'm using MAC Cosmetics Lady Be Good liquid lipstick mixed with a little bit of Caramello by Stila Cosmetics. And once it's done, I'm just going to top it up with my Rimmel transparent lip gloss. And this basically will wrap up the entire look for today's look. Before I finish off with the lipstick, I'm just going to correct any outlines and using a brush and a concealer brush and a concealer. And this basically wraps up the entire look for today's makeup look. And this is the beautiful bride, hair done by me. The roses were my ideas. I just wanted to do it together. I wanted to see how it looks together and sits together. And I thought she looked like a beautiful, perfect, spring-inspired bride, and I absolutely loved how this entire look turned out. So there you go, guys. So this wraps up the entire look for today's makeup look and the hairstyle. I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment below, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you next time on my next video.
Without you
Wow. Okay, this is looking really good.
Now it's beautiful.
And turn around. Perfect.
My boyfriend says, holy fuck, you're gorgeous.